Hi, I'm Danny Gatton, and I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm here to teach you how to play guitar in probably some ways that you've never heard anybody play it before. Mainly the picking techniques that I use, right hand, that I've taught myself over the years. Heavily influenced by rockabilly players and jazz players and western swing and top 40 and just about anything there ever was, I've played it. I haven't toured with that many people that are well known, with the exception of country great Roger Miller and Robert Gordon from New York City, where we're filming this. The first thing I'm going to show you here is something about putting strings on your guitar, because most people don't put the strings on properly. If we can get a close shot of these tuners, when you put strings on, especially on a Fender, you should leave as much string around the tuner as you can. You don't have to perform any magic knots or anything. You just put it in there and wrap it up with a peg winder until it's all the way down to the bottom of the peg, and then pull on each one of them. I've pulled mine before here, but let's see. See how that went flat? So you have to do that to each one. Now, if you've put new strings on your guitar and you can't find a pitch to tune it to, this may sound strange, but the dial tone on a telephone is F. So if you pick up the phone and you hear F, you can tune your big E string here to F. That's what you'll hear on the phone, something close to that. Then you will come up 4 frets on the E string to A, and you will get an A. So you tune your A string. Now, when you have your A in pitch, you can lower your E string back down to E. And that is the 5th fret, double for that. Now, the tuning method that's worked best for me over the years is to use this version of an A chord. And here's a prime example of what it's good for. My first string's a little bit sharp. Rather than tune down on the tuner, because if I tune down on the tuner, as soon as I wail on this thing, it's going to go flat. So if you have to tune it down, bring it up to pitch, and do not pass the pitch or it will slip on you. Also, if it's a little bit sharp, you can just tug it down into pitch. Okay, right now I want to talk to you about picks, for instance. Now, geez, about 15 years ago, I used to use thin, medium-sized picks and Fender rock and roll strings, regular gauge. And then an old friend of mine, Roy Buchanan, who was picking a telly at that time, I wasn't, was playing a Les Paul. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But he said, try these little jazz picks. They are heavy jazz picks. I'm not endorsing these things for anybody in particular, because a lot of different companies make them, but they're thick. They don't bounce around a whole lot, and you can get anything you want out of them because they're not too floppy. Now, I had these knobs custom made for this guitar. They're reproductions of Fender Broadcaster knobs. They're made out of stainless steel, and they have a particularly heavy knurl cut into them, so I can take these picks like this and scratch them on the knob, and cut grooves in it, so the thing won't fall out of my hand so much. Also, for another thing for you guys that smoke or that play in nightclubs, cigarette ashes on the tips of your fingers works good when you get sweaty fingers to keep from dropping your pick too. Another thing here, fingernails. I play with a flat pick and all 3 fingers, and you have to have a certain length of nails. Mine aren't very long, but they don't have to be for what I do. So to play the different styles that I play, I have to use all of my fingers to do it. Not that I don't flat pick, I do that too. We'll get into that in a minute though. But here's a basic forward roll. I'll turn this echo gadget off here so you can hear how this goes. You might say, what's that good for? Well, it's good for arpeggios. That kind of stuff. So that's a forward roll. Very slowly. It's the pick, your middle finger, and then your 3rd finger. All these exercises, you can lay in bed and do these things and watch TV. You don't even have to think about it. They're just good for you. It was in tune when I bought it. All right, a backward roll. One way to do the backward roll is exactly the opposite of the forward roll, starting this way. 3rd finger, 2nd finger, and pick. And that has its place, but mostly for slower things. I don't find that to be very accurate back picking. So to back pick it, I use my middle finger on the 1st string, an upstroke on the 2nd string with the pick, and a downstroke on the 3rd with the pick, like this. And then just follow it all the way down. So you can sit at home and mess with that one and see what happens. All right, now I'm going to show you how to do this little riff here. This is like, without any echo or anything, it sounds like. Now, if I play no left hand whatsoever, it's like this. So it's the pick on the 6th string, the pick and your 2nd and 3rd finger on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. Then you hit the 6th again. Then the 2nd and 3rd string with your fingers, and the 4th string with the pick. So it's like. Now, if you start throwing the chords in there, you use a basic E chord to an A chord made with your 3rd finger straight across. That is the crude way to do it, but it works great. Now, let me show you something else. If I play this thing at speed again with echo, using those methods, it comes out. So what I did there was just basically this. Now, suppose your echo gadget goes on the blink, then what do? All right, then you double pick all this stuff like. Doing that very slowly is very slowly, and this is hard to do slow. Hope you can pick that up. One more time, that is. Hopefully that will be of some use to the guys playing rockabilly out there. All right, I'm going to talk about Merle Travis style of picking right now. That little song right there, I'm sure you all have heard that before. Let me play that real slow for you. All right, basically, this type of playing is conceived from ragtime piano, I suppose, is what it sounds like to me. And this is very, very difficult to explain, this method of doing this. We might have to cover more of that in a future edition of this. But let me try this without any left hand whatsoever. And the bass rolls like so, from the 6 to the 4 to the 5 to the 4. Let me turn this echo off. All this is done with the pick. And you stagger the melody lines with it. No left hand whatsoever. I'm going to do just the right hand picking pattern. Now add the left hand. So that is a brief introduction into Merle Travis. Here's another thing that Travis did that goes like this. Sounds harder than it really is. It's a right-hand picking pattern that goes. That's 6, 4, 5, 3. The 6th string and a 5th string are played with the pick. The other strings are played with the 2nd and 3rd finger. At that point, you would play like an E chord. Then you would play an F sharp minor, a G minor, an A flat minor. It comes up. If you notice, there's a little B string note that's bouncing around in there. There's another little added tidbit here. that's the higher version of it. In which case you use a chord that looks like this: F sharp, E, and A. Like this. Then you go up to A and do the same thing again. F sharp, B, descending B. Once more with the echo, because it sounds much better that way. It sounds... All right, kid, you got that? All right, here's another one. Boy, this one's good for Orange Blossom Special. It's a forward-backward roll combined. And I can also play bozo with this, like this. Pretty silly, huh? All right, that one very slowly is a forward roll. Then you come back to we're on the E, A, and D strings. Then you do an upstroke on the A with the pick. Then a downstroke on the E with the pick. So you sit there and do this. This is the effortless way to play guitar. Nobody's lazier than me, and I figured all these things out. So. Now, when I play Orange Blossom Special, when it gets to warp factor 10, I do the... So that thing was done on from the D to the B string. And we might do something like this. No charge for mistakes. So you can sit home and mess with that. E, D, D flat minor, B minor, A, G, F sharp minor, E minor, which is actually being used in the form of an A9 chord. This is an old banjo song here that has a bridge like that. And you can throw in the Travis stuff. Okay, here's another thing I'm going to show you here, the Foggy Mountain Banjo. And you say, what is that good for? It's good for this. So if we put that together, I'm going to slow this down a second and show you. This is how this tune goes. Okay, this Foggy Mountain thing will drive you crazy when you put the left hand in it. Do it real slow again without the left hand. It's like a rumba beat, and there's two ways to do this. There's a way to do it clean and slow, which is... And there's another way to do it fast, which you double pick the third string. as opposed to here's how you do the left hand. Boy, this will get you too. You have to play B flat with your second finger and using your little finger to hammer on to B. And you must use your little finger because there is no power in your third finger when you try to hammer on. It's very awkward. So little finger's where it's at. Very slowly, that is. Here's the part that messes up everybody's head. When you hammer on from B flat to B, you have to pick the second string and have an open B. So in effect, you have two B notes. So remember the pattern is, forget that for right now. So we're just going to go, we're going to try to do this. So I'm only picking B flat and I'm hammering on to B, and it's not very loud, but it makes a difference. And I'm really picking an open B. So I'm picking the third string, then I pick the second string as I hammer on at the same time. Now, if your mind's like everybody else's, you'll say, "Oh my God, I can't do that. What is the matter here?" So you just have to fiddle with that one to get it. So here it is again. All right, here's the fast way, and why it is the fast way is the double picking thing. It's very staccato and it works at high speed, but it doesn't work good at low speed. It'll sound like... You don't want that at slow speed. You want it to be... Likewise, if you try to play it the slow way, fast, it comes out... It rings too much and it doesn't work good. The other method is better. It's almost like Travis style, but you just play one note, for instance. So we'll play this in E for simplicity right now. Play quarter notes on E. Harder to do slow than it is fast. Boy, I wish I knew the good way to tell you how to do that. Strictly a matter of practice. Gotta start that way. So there's staggered noting in there. reason I'm doing that right now is because I'm getting into this country funk thing, and it's very similar to that. Let's talk about that a second. Let's try this thing. This little riff right here is very good for backup for things like working man blues. Very slowly, that is. So we have a pattern that looks something like this. Very slowly, that is. Of course, you can carry that on to other chords in higher positions. Something along those lines. Hope that makes some sense to you. Chicken picking. Aha, there's ways to do that. That's my favorite method of doing it. The original way of doing it, I think, is something like this. You'd take an E chord and just roll it down with a flat pick. And that is very difficult to do. As you see, I missed a note too. So I don't advise trying to do it that way, with it just rolling straight down with a flat pick, because it's tough. Okay, another way of doing something like that is you take the E chord, so you're going with the pick, down, up, down, and then you pick the first string with your middle finger. And you muffle the thing down here with the palm of your hand on the bridge. All right, so that's one way of doing that. The best way that I think, because it's more staccato, is that method really makes the first string pop. And all that is a forward roll and then a downstroke on the first string with the pick. slow. There's a flat picking way of doing it. You play the high string, rather than hit it with the flat pick, pull it off with your middle finger. And you muffle with both hands. That's pretty hard to explain too. Right, that was like a left hand muffle. Try to do this without muffling any right hand at all. You'll notice that the middle notes are inferred. They're not really there. However, I can put them in there. So that kind of thing is like the very same thing. Maybe you'll get some use out of that one. Here's something that New Orleans guys used to play, mostly piano players. Old Fats Domino tunes used to go like this. This is good for backup. I believe that's called the Clancy bass. So what you do is play that, the quarter notes, while you play the eighth notes on top with your little finger and third finger. Actually, middle finger too. We got all three of them going there. And boy, you get into moving the bass lines all around on the bottom. Well, let me touch on that one briefly. So let's say we played A and we went. And we're going to go to the 4 chord or D chord. Well, what we're going to make here is a D9. Here's a real D9. But we're kind of like making an A minor chord with a D note in the bottom of it. So it's an inferred D chord. Okay, when you're doing that kind of stuff, if you want to make it interesting, you can like move the bass notes around. Alright, so that's the method of playing that kind of thing. Here's like the way guys do boogie woogie piano kind of stuff. I love doing that because I like boogie woogie stuff. Wish we had a whole band here for this today. I could get off on that. So that thing is like, you can actually hear the left and right hand on the piano. The bottom's going. Very slowly, that is. Now, we have to throw in the high end. So if you notice, you got this. You have that thing going on there. I feel like playing some of that stuff, so I might play a little bit. Hear that Foggy Mountain banjo lick in there? Quadruple time, warp factor 11 on that kind of stuff. I get criticized for that, but I like to play that way, so frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn. Watch it in the booth, boys. This is going to be loud. I wish it hadn't have done that. All right, now I'm going to get into some single note picking kind of things. Here is an exercise that is extremely good for up and down picking. It's very simple and it looks dumb, but it's hard to do. And it's almost a chromatic scale, but not quite. Doesn't look like much, does it? It's up and down, up and down. Actually, it starts with a downstroke. I lied. So you start with a downstroke. You get to A flat, that's a downstroke. When you get to A, it's an upstroke. That's a whole pattern for up and down picking, and like I said, it's a almost a chromatic scale, but not quite, just for the sake of it being an exercise. If it was to be chromatic when we got to the G string, we would have to jump to the B string because we'd get the B flat and then we'd have to go to B, but we want to keep all of our fingers playing in groups of fours. Good for the little finger, good for all of your appendages in the up and down strokes. So the E string, the big E, we will start with a downstroke. And it ends with a downstroke. Now, because it ended with a downstroke, we go to the A string and starts with an upstroke, because everything has to be up and down consistently. So the A string portion of that ended on an upstroke. Therefore, the D is going to be a downstroke. Same as the E, and so on and so on. So chromatically, it just goes. Now, when you get to the A flat on the high E string, That was a downstroke, so you're going to have to come back down with it, and it'll be like this. You don't want to play two A flats, just one. So that's a good warm-up exercise for both hands. And if you really wanted to play that lick and play it fast, I wouldn't advise trying to do it that way. At least I can't, not real fast. That's about as fast as I can do that comfortably, but there is a way to cheat. And that is to do the E string just the way I showed you, and then when you go to the A string, jump right across with a downstroke, so they all start with downstrokes. Once again, slowly. You do it quick, it sounds like shit. Can't do it. Oh, pardon me. Painful, painful. Very difficult to do. Not my favorite thing to do. That's why I use it as an exercise and don't use it on the gig much. Okay, a little thing else about single note picking. I use my third finger, or second finger, pardon me, and pick, alternating pickings like... Let's make this an exercise also. So I'm going to go up and down on the big E string with the pick. When I get to the A string, I'm going to do an up, like a middle finger picking up. Then it's a downstroke and an upstroke with the pick. You start the fourth string the same way you started on the sixth. It's a repetitious pattern every two strings. And I stress that these things are very hard to play slow. It's a lot easier to do them at a decent tempo. So when you're sitting home practicing this, don't get discouraged because it's hard, because it does take a while to get used to this stuff. There's a thing called circle picking, which is used like jazz players use this sort of thing. Toward the end of there, I finally got onto it. You'll notice that the thumb starts to rock back and forth, and the pick actually forms little circles on the string. That's a good example right there. Works better in triplets, too. So you can do that little exercise very slowly. It's F sharp, G, and A. And you just keep moving that down. Second, third, and fourth, or fifth fret, rather, on every string, all the way down. Whatever, a little crap there at the end, but no extra charge. There's another thing I was going to get into earlier, and I forgot to do it. Was a little thing about Les Paul, who was my hero when I was a kid. And one of the most amazing things that he did, everything he did was incredible, but this one particular thing always knocked me out. It's a clarinet lick. If you just play it like on the first string, it's good like at tempos, like 2-beat stuff. That's like doing it on one string, and it's the same thing as a cymbal ride. It goes da 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 da, and the pick goes. The left hand move is, that's all the left hand is. So you can put two strings on that and do it in harmony. Now it gets to hurt when you start doing it in D. Then you got to do it this way. And if you don't use your little finger, you're in a world of trouble because you can't do this kind of stuff at all. So that's one little method of doing that. There's an inside way of doing that very same thing. And it goes like, done at speed, it's that thing very slowly is. And so on for that kind of thing. Right now I'm going to do a little something with the volume and tone controls, and I have to apologize for the pots in this thing. I've had them forever, and they've been modified slightly, and they work so good I hate to change them, but the carbons are shot in them. So they're going to make some noise, but they sure feel good to me. Get steel guitar effects doing that kind of stuff. And the tone control is real good for doing things like Orange Blossom Special kind of stuff, which would go like so you can see where that works. Now, if you are interested in changing the pots in your guitar, your tone pot, to be really effective, should be the type like this one is. And there again, I'm sorry it's dirty, but it almost works like a wah-wah. It goes from completely dead mud to full cracked open at about where a number 3 might be on it, although these have no number on them. And from there on up, it does very little. So if you have a linear taper pot, which just tapers nice and straight, you won't be able to do that with your tone pot because you'd have to turn the whole thing all the way around, and you haven't got time for that business. You only got a little bit to go, see? However, the volume pot should be just the opposite. It should be very even from bottom to top. And if you're a telly picker like me, you kind of get used to these things being where they are. So you too can play steel licks. That's a little steel lick right there. I can show you that real quick. We're playing an E, for instance. So we want to take an E6th chord at the top, which is also the same thing as a D minor, and go drag the pick backwards. Move it down 2 frets, Same thing both times. Then you would change the chord at the 12th fret, and there's a fret in between each finger there, so you can remember that. Same position down to D. Go to the 6th again. And it comes out something like. And some sort of neat little steel lick. Let's see, we might throw a couple of hints in here about string bending. A lot of people just try to bend the basic strings with one finger. And you go, trying to bend it, and it goes, whoa, and it slips right off because you have no power behind the thing. If you really want to push them, you got to put all 3 fingers behind them and preferably do the bends with your 3rd finger. And you get a little vibrato in there by rocking the thing back and forth on the neck, right in the palm of your hand. If I try to do that without doing that, it goes, and I get these little things throwing up in the background. That's not too cool. That can be very embarrassing, right? So, on that note, maybe I'll play a little blues here one time. Another little thing I like to do, play with the beer bottle. I'm going to tune this E string back up. I had dropped it to low A. Just kidding, just fooling around there, you know what I mean? But it's fun to play with the beer bottle, especially if you drink a whole lot of them, which is how I learned. So, on that note, that may just end this particular episode. Hope to see you again.